Hello, and welcome back to my little dashie. By whatever this guy is. Or two.
I've been checking out some of the abandoned lots and former parks on my walks to and from work, seeing where the best location would be to take her. Oddly enough, it seems the park I had played at growing up is the best option. That shall be it then. I shall take her to the park. How will I get her there? She's still relatively small, so she can be hidden inside a jacket or something. Tomorrow is supposed to be a nice day anyways. She did it. After 2 years in my care and having absolutely no knowledge of flight myself, I helped her learn to fly.
Shabam!
She's gotten quite big in only a couple years, and it was getting hard to hide her when we walked to the park. I got so desperate to keep her hidden, I bought a dog costume for her to put on so she could walk there unnoticed. She was not happy. So I got some books from the library and read up on teaching birds to fly. I would have looked on the internet, but I fear she would have become curious of it herself. There are a lot of horrors on the internet. She's not ready for it. In hindsight, it's bad enough she's experiencing television, but she's...
with the fire, the seas burn,
Back to flying. I've been taking her to that old park for weeks in the hopes I could help her learn how to fly. There's this large tree there with branches sticking out over the sandbox. The perfect spot for her to practice. If she falls and I can't catch her, at least she'll have something remotely soft to land on. She fell a lot. I knew she would fall a lot. I mean, there were many scrapes, cuts, and bruises toward her goal, but finally, after many weeks of work, she flew. It was only a short distance, about 50 feet, but she still did it. She's a little scraped up, but she's beaming with pride. Maybe now she could fly overhead so the few people on the ground don't notice her. I'll have to see if she can manipulate clouds like she could in the show. It would make it much easier for her to take her places. Then she can hide in the cloud and we can go to the park. Another thing is brought to my attention. She asked me about having her own room. I got to thinking and realized the house does have a spare bedroom, though my parents had filled it with my old school stuff from my younger years.
Yay!
Several of my old toys. She might enjoy them, though she is getting older and I'm not sure how entertaining they'll be for her. If she has her own room, I can get her own things so that she can feel somewhat normal. She's pretty smart for a filly and knows about the difference between our species, but she still knows nothing about her origin.
Yes!
She's not ready yet. The only thing I can do is keep her happy.
Happy! My big...
I had a way to buy her the things she wants. If you told me 4 years ago I'd be taking care of a cartoon rainbow-colored pony, I'd probably call you insane. I mean, in all reality, I probably am, but I don't care. I'm happy. She's happy. Besides, today is a day for celebration. For today, my little dashie got her cutie mark.
Yay!
I honestly didn't know how to tackle that fact. I mean, she didn't even know what it was until I explained it to her. Now, she's even more ecstatic than before. It was a normal park outing, but this time she decided she wanted to see how high she could fly. I had limited her to how high she could fly, but honestly, I can't do anything about what she does up there. I can't fly, so the most I could do is tell her to be careful. Somewhere she got it in her head to see just how fast she could fly, probably due to her being a NASCAR and, well, a general racing fan.
Yay!
For some time she was trying to make up tricks and stunts of her own, giving them names. I'd just sit back on a bench I'd fixed up and cheer her on.
Yay!
No
Go with us!
In fact, on that block I think the last person left over a year ago.
Yeah.
There are rumors the entire area is going to be bought out by some company, however, and all this turned into a large manufacturing area. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's not important right now. Right now I'm so overcome with joy that my dashie now knows her place. Granted, this isn't her world. She's still the same Rainbow Dash from the show. Regardless of how I raised her, she has the same spunk and attitude from the show. And now, she has her cutie mark. Anyway, she climbed to quite a height in an attempt to gain speed from a fall. Well, all the right things factored for her. How she positioned herself, her mental focus, and possibly me on the ground watching and cheering her on.
Yay!
She did it. She broke the sound barrier and created a sonic rain boom overhead.
Well, let's go!
I didn't even imagine it was possible to accomplish such a feat in my world. I mean, I knew you could break the sound barrier, but actually do the rainbow part too? My mind's blown.
Yeah,
So,
I
the
was
initial
much.
explosion brought upon many broken windows and set off car alarms in the next county. I quickly rounded her up and we rushed home before
Wait.
I was lucky none of my windows were broken. The rest of the day was spent celebrating. It just so happened today was her 4th birthday. I have no way of knowing how old she actually was when I got her, so I just started over. I would have bought a cake, but due to the boom, all the businesses were closed and needed new windows. So we made a cake on our own. Apparently the fanfiction writers got it right. She can't bake at all. Granted, I'm not the best myself, but it was still a mess.
Yeah.
We had fun, she enjoyed herself, and she's happy.
Yay.
Therefore, I'm happy. Though that was her highlight of the day, mine was just moments ago. She's now come accustomed to sleeping in her own room versus with me out on the couch. I actually stopped sleeping in my room and kept her company in the living room up until recently. Now I can sleep in my own bed once more, but I keep my door unlocked, so if she needs me, she can get me.
Yeah.
I just tucked her into bed and told her good night when she said it. Good night, Daddy. I love you.
Oh.
I haven't been on the internet in, 3 years now? I don't know how the My Little Pony thing online is doing, or what memes are still alive or not, but damn it all, I'm gonna say it right now because it's true. My heart exploded twice.
Again.
The first
Boom,
time,
boom.
not only did she call me Daddy, which she has done on occasion, but she even said, I love you.
Plot
I didn't
twist.
know what to say or what to do. I've never been in this sort of situation before. But I remembered what my mother and father used to do. So I leaned down, kissed her on the forehead, and told her the same thing. Good night, my little Dashie. I love you too. She smiled at me, then closed her eyes to sleep. I walked out, turned off her light, making sure her SpongeBob nightlight was on, of course.
SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants. How many times do you ever say? Hey, not my fault. I'm referencing stuff.
Being with her so much made me accept it as part of taking care of her. But tonight, when she said those 3 words, the realization finally sunk into my heart. I'm her daddy.
Yeah.
She considers me her daddy, and quite frankly, I consider her my daughter.
Aww, this is so beautiful. I just want to cry. See what I need? See what I need? It's tear jerking. You just want to cry all the time when this is on. Oh yes, we managed to do it for the first part. Oh, we're screwed if this is the second part.
He's given me hope, love, passion. Now something I thought I'd never utter. A daughter. I still speculate when the time is going to arise that she goes back to Equestria. And each day it gets harder for me to imagine when that actually happens.
Right?
I hope that she never forgets me, because I'll never forget her.
Yeah.
I believe Dashie is now at her full size. Rounding in at about 3 feet tall, she's fully grown. Though she's still only 10 years old according to my math, I believe she's actually more along the lines of 14 or 15, possibly in actual years. So, we celebrated 5 missed birthdays and officially moving day. That's right, moving day. We moved from my parents' house thanks to me finally saving up enough money, plus getting lucky at a casino.
Yay!
We bought a nice house 100 miles away from the city. It's got a lot of open land, and there isn't another house within 5 miles.
Yes.
Just me and her.
An adventure!
All she wants, whenever she wants. She's truly happy, though she does miss the old park.
Aww.
It's gone now, along with anything else left in the area. A large business bought up all the land, flattened it, and built a large factory there.
Oh.
It was an amazing boon to the economy, and people are starting to build homes again. I'm glad, but it just That amount of people would hinder her going outside. I'm not going to force her to stay inside all day unless it's raining out. I've gotten a new job, one that pays much more than my old one. Dashie even talked about getting a job, but then she remembered what I told her. The look on her face was heartbreaking. We were enjoying a cake we made, which I must add we have improved upon that skill when she brought it up. I jokingly said she can't due to her being a pony, and I laughed. She remained silent.
Yeah.
God, I'm horrible. I just laughed because my daughter's different. I apologized for hours, and even though she says she understands, I know she's still hurt.
Aww.
Luckily, I found a way to fix this. Due to the sheer size of the property, it involves a lot of cutting grass. Tomorrow, I will modify a lawnmower for her to use so that she can have a job. I'll even pay her so that she can buy her own stuff if she wants. Though I'd have to get it for her. She can still technically say she's worked for something.
Yeah.
According to the show, she was a weather pony, and I don't have her mess with Mother Nature unless it's a dire emergency, so...
Yay! Messing with Mother Nature!
I still can't believe I've had her for 10 years now.
10 years? How long has Star Wars security over years?
Time goes so fast.
Yeah.
I wish it would slow down so that I could have more time with her. I don't know when, but I have the sudden feeling our time together is running out. All of this has been too good to be true.
Hey, what? Elliot! Oops. Elliot! You idiot! Sorry. I think what's here? Okay.
In her own room versus me out on the couch.
Where was I at?
Get me? What?
I.
Done on occasion, but
1 second. Hey, you are bad at this, aren't you? Hey, I'm new to this reaction. Shut up. There we go.
I know my daughter.
Yeah, I think we're back.
I apologized for hours, and even though she said she understands, involves a lot of cutting grass. So I'd have to get it for her. Mother Nature, unless it's a... God. Time goes so fast.
I just did it there.
I wish it would slow down so that I could have more time with her. I
Yeah.
don't know when, but I have the sudden feeling our time together is running out.
Okay.
All of this has been too good to be true.
I feel so sad now.
Today, has to have been the worst time of my life.
What?
More than when my parents died. Due to events I could not prepare for, Dashie found out the truth before I could tell it myself. She knows what she is, a made-up cartoon character from a kid's television show. She's mad. No. Upset beyond all thought. She locked herself in her room, but I know my daughter. She didn't stay at home. She opened her window and flew off, probably into a tree to sulk in her sorrow. I'm a monster. I should have told her sooner. I wasn't sure when would be the right time. Now we're both suffering for my carelessness.
Yeah.
I thought getting cable would be a good thing. Give her some more shows to watch. What I didn't realize was that we got the hub station.
Buttress.
I wasn't even aware it was still up, and find by surprise the show My Little Pony is still even airing. It had stopped at 8 seasons, but it was repeated. I remember I walked in from work with some groceries, set them into the kitchen, and walked into the living room. That's when I saw it. Yay, she did it! Fluttershy had screamed, jumping with joy as Applejack, Twilight, and Pinkie Pie all sat on the clouds with dumbfounded looks on their face.
Yeah.
My heart sank. I knew this episode. I remembered this episode.
That's the Solid Rainbow episode.
Even after seeing nothing for 12 years,
Yeah.
I still remember that damn episode. In that episode, Rainbow Dash performs the Sonic Rainbow, much like how my little Dashie had. At the time, I was still holding my keys, and I dropped them. They clanged on the wood floor. If she didn't know I was home before, she knew now. How long? Dashie asked, no emotion in her voice. How long have you known about this? Dashie turned to look at me. She'd been crying, and her mane was in even worse shape than normal. How long have you known about this? I couldn't help it. A tear ran down my cheek as she yelled at me. This was the first time in all these years she had raised her voice to me. And I deserved every bit of it. So I sat down, turned off the television, and told her everything. I told her about the show, about finding her, and answered any other questions she had for me. There were a lot. Most of them stemmed from the show, to which I simply told her what I truly believed. That though she is the Rainbow Dash from the show, that she herself is a different pony from the cartoon. I tried to explain it to her, but her bullheadedness took over as she continued to lash at me. I took it all. I deserved it all. I've been keeping that horrible secret from her for far too long. She's now a fully grown mare capable of taking care of herself if she were in Equestria. Here, I still treat her like she was my little filly.
She's grown up now. You should have been more sensible. Yeah, you be my parent. Pepper,
I should have done what was right, but I didn't. It was only a matter of time before she found out. She knew she was different.
No, don't cry, don't cry, you don't get it.
I checked on her an hour later and no response told me she had flown off. I can only hope that she comes back, or
Yeah.
at least if she doesn't, she stays away from other people. If anything, I hope some sort of portal opens up and she can go back to her world and never has to think of me again. All I can say to her at this point is that I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's been 3 days since Dashie left. The night of her departure.
2,
trip,
3.
something I hadn't done in a long time. I went for a walk.
Yay,
I
walking!
wasn't sure where I was going or how long I had walked, but that's what I did. I walked.
Walking.
Now, 3 days later, I'm finding myself out here walking once again. I've been out here for roughly 3 hours, and though it's only 5 in the afternoon, it's grown dark. The storm is brewing, and soon I'll be hit by the brunt of it. I turn around and begin my walk home, though I don't rush. My energy these past few days has been non-existent. I've barely eaten anything more than some toast. I feel so lost as I walk through the woods that surround my house. No, our house. It's as much hers as it is mine. Nothing will change that. The rain has begun, but I don't quicken my pace. I just walk, much like I had done so long ago. The distant memories of all my pain and sorrow before Dashie began to seep back into my mind.
Don't cry, don't cry.
Years. The pats of water on the tree leaves help keep me distracted. It's a peaceful sound, one you would never hear in the city. The rain's picking up as my shirt is now soaking wet. Sure, I'll be
It's so beautiful. I got so good.
I've been sick for 3 days now. Mental health.
Oh, I see what you did by wrong.
My daughter is somewhere out here.
You're so saddening.
Some comfort and warmth in this rain.
Oh,
I
man.
wish I could care for her, even though she may not want me to. She may not ever want to see me again for how she acted. I don't blame her. It must be such a horrible thing finding out your past like that. I can't even imagine what it would be like. I know Dashie is a strong mare and she can pull through, but I also know she holds a grudge at times.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that even if she did come back, she would ever forgive me. More importantly, if I could even forgive myself. It's now pouring out here. The tree canopies are barely holding back the torrential rain as I'm hammered by the water droplets. I stop and look around and find my bearings and return home. I'm not lost. Most of this area is easy to traverse once you get used to it. It's just, I'm also looking for Dashie as I walk. It's the reason why I'm walking in the forest in the first place. I press on, keeping a steady pace through this rain. Suddenly I spy a large, thick tree. Its stature sticks out amongst the rest, and from looking at the barely wet grass underneath, I can tell it has many branches that are holding back even this hard rain. I need to take a break, so I walk under the tree and sit down. The grass is barely wet, with only a few small droplets making their ways down.
Okay, that is getting sadder.
This is the kind of tree I'd imagine Dashie would hide under in this rain. I wish it to be true, but I saw no sign of her as I approached. I close my eyes and lean against the tree hulk as I think about my life. Our life, together as a father and daughter. We've grown so much as a family, and we've been fortunate enough to have very few fights. None of them were as heartbreaking as the one 3 days ago. I feel a tear run down my cheeks as I imagine Dashie's face again. The anger in her eyes mixed with the confusion just tears me apart. I want so badly to make things right or go back in time and stop it from happening.
Well, you're not the doctor, so that's impossible.
What's done is done.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I speak out loud, not caring for if anyone's listening. I'm alone in these woods, besides the wildlife. In this rain, they're hiding as well. The ones that aren't are far from being such as I. I'm so sorry, Dashie. I continue to cry as I keep my eyes closed and lean against the tree trunk. The rain continues to pour down around me. An occasional drop hits my head, but
this is getting sadder and sadder, isn't it?
crack.
Huh?
I open my eyes from the sudden sound and look to my left. I'm shocked at what I see before me, looking at me with teary eyes herself. Dashie. My little Dashie, covered in firs and trees have a longer mane and tail, was standing a couple feet from me. She's wet with both rain and tears. I hadn't heard her approach. Then again, being a Pegasus, she was very quiet and light on her hoofs. She doesn't speak, and instead just walks over to me, not caring what noises she makes under her hoofs. I don't move. I just sit on the ground and watch with my own wet eyes. She looked so horrible and yet so beautiful at the same time.
How is that even possible? It's impossible! That's what it is.
Without a word, she
So, guys, I'm trying to watch this little story unfolding. Then why did you bring us along?
Never let go again, but I hold back knowing that it would be too sudden. Finally, she's the first to speak.
I hurt you.
Her voice got quiet as she whispers.
I'm sorry, too.
I simply smiled through my tears.
Getting too beautiful.
Difficulties
No, skip. No!
Sorry about
Why wrong crying?
Seems my point doesn't get across. Sorrowful face.
The first one was overrun, but now...
I reach over and grab her, holding her in a tight hug. Of course I do, Dashie. Always loved you and still love you no matter what. Not even a small fight like ours can ever change that. She returns the hug as we sit down and cry together. Apologizes to me for the truth and her for raising her voice in the story.
Okay, that's what we're never watching fanfics again.
Dad,
Yeah.
can we go home now? I need a shower bad.
I let out a light chuckle and she laughs too. We make our trip back home. She's smiling again. I am too. I've been giving it some thought lately, and I think I'm gonna give her her birthday present a little early. A ticket to the Indy 500.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm taking her to the Indy 500. I mean, she can simply sit on some clouds and watch while I'm in the stands. You didn't even have to get her a ticket, but she needs some sort of reminder of her visit. I'm sure she'll have a blast. Though I don't expect this to make everything right, I can only hope it cheers her up some. Sometime I'm sure she'll relax and settle down about her being in the cartoon.
Yeah,
I
cartoon.
mean, she's a smart mare, and she knows she's real, not that made-up pony from the cartoon.
I am the made-up pony!
And hope that she does the same to me. There's a point in every parent's life when they have to let their child go, whether it be for the better or for the worst. It must happen at some point. I now sit here in my living room by myself, sulking over the photographs of my distant memories of me and Dashie. On her 20th birthday, I had planned a special outing to go see a flight show. As we prepared to leave, there was a knocking on the door.
Knock knock. Who's that?
As we have lived here, had anybody knocked at the door? Hell, we hadn't even made arrangements if someone did show up. I simply told her to go to her room while I took care of it. Once I heard the door shut calmly and collectively, I asked who it was knocking, expecting some stranger, possibly lost on his or her travels. A female voice spoke in such an elegant yet attention-grabbing tone I felt myself listening to her with the uttermost attention. She asked if she may come in, a question I'd normally refuse with a heartbeat, yet something about her voice was reminiscent. I couldn't help but walk over and open the door. When I first saw the figure standing on my porch, I wasn't sure if I was dreaming or hallucinating.
Oh, both.
Standing there was the radiant and majestic Princess Celestia.
What? Plot twist on what?
Emotions of
Well, that's a plot
I only
twist.
felt when I first found Dashie, and emotions of sorrow for what I knew this meant.
Oh, time to let it
Stood there
go.
another second looking at me. We matched each other in eye level, her body being the size of a nearly full-grown horse. I stepped back and allowed her to enter. What caught me off guard next was the 5 other ponies that followed suit. First Twilight Sparkle, then the rest of the gang. Applejack, Rarity, Fluttershy, and lastly, Pinkie Pie.
Pinkie Pie!
Ooh, so this is what an alien house looks like on the inside.
Pinkie Pie, of course!
Are you starving? I can make some.
She was stopped by Applejack's sooth. Easy there, Sugar Cube. We're just here for Rainbow, so we ain't got no time for any eating. Applejack's stomach growled. No matter how hungry we are.
Pinkie Pie!
Still wasn't sure how to completely react to all this.
I know how to react. Pinkie Pie, Pinkie Pie, Pinkie Pie, Pinkie Pie! Pinkie Pie, Pinkie Pie! Of course, I know all the words to react to.
Pinkie took that as an okay and ran into the kitchen with much vigor. It seemed I did not even need to tell her where anything was. She instantly knew where everything was placed. Factor into her dumb luck of simply being Pinkie.
Yes, Pinkie Pie! That my country is Pinkie Pie!
Said, walking to join the hyper pony. As she passed, she tipped her hat to me. I was finding it odd the ponies were not more hesitant around a creature such as me. Then again, the same could be same for myself, but having Dashie for 15 years, I grew used to having such a thing around me. Now I have 5 other ponies and a full-sized goddess horse looking at me with the same amount of curiosity that I held for them. There was a moment of silence as I watched the 2 mares enter my kitchen and begin to rummage through my fridge. I'm quite surprised, Celestia began.
Why
I
yourself?
expected a little more resistance to us entering. Why? I know who you all are. Celestia nodded. Ah, so you do know them then?
Yes, we're portraits of
the
death!
children's TV show? Then yes. Otherwise, why you're here, I have no idea.
Yeah, why is it a TV show? Why are you not watching it? I would never go watch the ponies after this. Not this! Whatever it is.
My heart fell into the pits of my stomach. I did know. She was straight to the point about it. During all these years, I had anticipated this moment, but as time drug on, that thought slowly dispelled until it was just nothing more than a minor nip in my mind.
Nip.
And it always happens, you know. When everything is finally perfect and you don't have to worry anymore.
Excuse me, sir.
Twilight began.
But from what we could figure out, Rainbow Dash should be here. Is she?
Yes, she's in
I wanted to tell her no, but I knew it was fruitless. She's upstairs in her room.
In her room?
Rarity asked, surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dashie's in her room. I wasn't sure who was knocking and didn't want her to be spotted.
Dashie? My, you're that friendly with her already?
Rarity continued. I wanted to punch that pony so hard right then.
Yeah, Razzie!
Insulted me. Friendly? That's not even the beginning of it. And I should be asking you ponies as to what the hell you did. Celestia raised an eyebrow, taken back by my change of tone.
You see, my student.
I know who she is. Get to the chase.
Yeah, chase.
I was very short with her. As furious as I wanted to know why they'd send Dashie as a filly to some other world.
Because of
Bit
it.
her lip as her teacher continued. Yes, of course.
She was working on a spell to help the weather team with some storm development. Well, they made slightly too large of a storm, and then Twilight used her magic to try and dispel it. It shot a lightning bolt meeting her magic. Rainbow Dash was unfortunate enough to be within reach of the blast, and it engulfed her and sent her to, well, here. So, we're here to retrieve her. Simple enough, I'd imagine. Before I could answer, Dashie called from her bedroom.
Oh.
Dad, is everything alright?
Yeah, everything's alright.
My heart stopped beating as I looked from pony to pony.
They
Each one's face was a pure... They recognized the voice of their Rainbow Dash, but she said, Dad.
Excuse me, Sugar Cube. Applejack started, returning from the kitchen.
Mickey
I
Pie!
just hear Rainbow Dash call y'all Dad?
Yes!
Before I could answer, Celestia started up again. Do you care to explain?
That's what the
I
actual
was
cost.
lost. So many things were running through my mind at once. There was only one thing I could do, and I had to do it, but I knew I wouldn't like it. Go into the living rooms and make yourself comfortable. I'll be right down with her.
Yes, a
Didn't allow a response.
vengeance!
Turned around and walked up the stairs slowly. Dad? Yeah, Dashie, I'm coming up. We looked back down at the group of ponies as they watched me ascend. We need to talk. So that's what I did. I told her who was down there and that they were there to take her back. She had seen the cartoon every so often after some time and found the wacky adventures entertaining. She had given up any thought that the Rainbow Dash in the show was her, and only viewed it as another cartoon. As I talked to her and explained that those very ponies she didn't believe in were downstairs, she brushed me off with some laughs. She didn't believe me and thought I was playing some joke on her. So I took her down into the living room.
Funny.
Dashie! Pinky shouted.
Mickey Pie!
And friend.
Mickey Pie!
Dashie was quick to shove the pink pony off. Hey, get away from me!
Hey, know what this is, Piggy Pie!
Ponies filling our living room. They all looked at her with worried expressions as to why she shoved her closest friend away. He's Cotton Candy Mane went straight as she looked in confusion. You don't recognize me, do you?
No, not.
Or any of you. Dashie continued. It hurt me in so many ways. I knew these were her friends, but so many things had happened differently that she didn't know the truth fully. And neither did they. So I had to explain to them. I started. Dashie, take a seat, please, so I can talk to them. Recliner. The entire time she looked at all the ponies who occupied the couches and set her rug in front of the fireplace. It was time, but first I had to start with a question. How long ago was she sent over here? The question caught them off guard, but Twilight cleared her throat as she spoke. About 15 days ago. Why? I was speechless. 15 days ago? Shit, she's been with me for 15 years. That means a day in their world meant a year here. Well, I continued, it's been a lot more time than that here. How long? Twilight asked. 15 years. All the ponies besides Celestia had their mouths agape. That don't explain why she don't know us, Applejack said. Well, that's the thing. When I found her, she was a filly. Come again? From my math, I think she was no older than 4 or 5 years old. Now Celestia looked surprised.
Yay, finally! Celestia surprised us something! Yay! We surprised Celestia at something! Oh,
She asked.
If there's no okay.
Looked over to Dashie, who wore an expressionless look on her face. She's... I started, but I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. I know it's not true. God, I wish it was, but... I understand. The dad now makes sense. Celestia cut me off, holding a stern look about her face. She was thinking, trying to piece together in her mind what had possibly happened. I chalked it up to the magic being unstable, possibly reverted her in age. For a few moments it was quiet, besides the breathing of 7 ponies and myself. Finally, it was Dashie who broke the silence.
Dashie? Yes! This will be a hard episode!
Face. No matter how good I had gotten at reading Dashie's face, Princess Celestia had the best poker face I'd ever seen. I had no clue what she was thinking or feeling at this moment. Well, it's quite simple. Twilight? Celestia looked to her pupil, who instantly perked up hearing her name. Do you still remember that memory spell from the Discord incident?
Yes!
Twilight simply
Discord! I'm high at the moon! See in the middle of summer at the noon. Discord! Do we do today could take the world away? Discord!
She went into
Hello, there's no steps, don't think that's the wrong. Discord! We can't take it anymore, so take it terribly away!
Ponyville.
That's right, we know all the way.
I felt it was right. I knew it was right and needed to be done. I'd been telling myself that for 15 years as I waited for this moment. There was something I needed to say before it happened. These ponies were going to take my Dashie away, and I had some words to speak before that could happen. No! Wait, please. I started. Twilight stopped and looked at the sun goddess. Just give me a moment with her, please. All I ask. This is the last time we'll see each other. I had given up holding back my tears at this point and was openly crying. The ponies could tell I was hurting, and Dashie didn't look to be faring too well either.
Please, if I can't cheer me up. Yeah, if I think if I can't cheer you up, nothing will.
Dashie. My little Dashie. I love you with all my heart. You have done wonders to open me up from the man I once was. I had to pause a moment to settle down. You have brought me so much joy in my life that I can't possibly ever thank you for. At this point, Dashie too began to cry. That only made it worse for me.
Abby!
Talking, playing, flying. All those have been so special to me. I just want you to know that I will forever love you. It doesn't matter if we are biologically related or of different worlds. I don't care what you ever think of me, even if you don't remember me. But right now, you being my little Dashie, I want you. I poked her chest to physically show I was talking to her. I want you to know that fact. If there's ever a problem that happens and you need me, don't hesitate to find a way to get me, okay?
So suddenly.
I tried to laugh the last part off as a joke. It worked, though, only slightly, so we both continued to cry. I could also hear some sniffling from behind me. I could only picture Pinkie Pie crying much like she had at the end of the second episode in season 1 after Luna and Celestia had been reunited. Dad? Do I have to go, Daddy? Do I have to go? It had been a few years since she had actually called me Daddy. Most of the time it was simply Dad or Pops.
Pops? Are you seriously?
Knowing she still cared for me enough to call me Daddy. Much like she had the first times. So many years ago. I simply nodded my head and stood up. Before I could grasp my balance, she jumped onto me and hugged me tight. I could feel her tears on the back of my neck, and I returned the embrace. It's your actual home, Dashie. You don't belong here. You need to go back to where you belong.
I belong here with you.
It hurt so much to say, but I had to keep her convinced that this was the right thing to do. No, you don't. You're limited here. You're only able to fly around the house. You have no friends or other ponies to relate to.
Yeah.
I was only taking care of you until this time would come, but I never thought it would be this painful. I remained quiet for a few more minutes as we held each other tight. She didn't fight back or want to resist what was happening, but she told me she knew what must be done.
I love you, Daddy.
And I love you too. We separated as she lowered herself to the ground. At this point, all the other ponies had tears flowing, even the goddess herself.
Ah, you're finally crying! You gotta have tears on us!
Time differences.
Ain't you telling me now?
Shock.
Yeah,
She
baby.
most likely had expected to find a 35-year-old Rainbow Dash, but instead found my 20-year-old Dashie. Twilight stepped closer to Rainbow Dash, sniffling once before her horn glowed. I knew it was coming. It hurt so much, but I knew it was right.
Emeralds don't know it over.
It had to happen for her friends, in a twisted way for me.
So this is
Now I
go
knew that she
to
was
how it
actually going
works.
home and would be around her friends,
Yeah.
fly wherever, whenever she wanted to, without limitations. She could enjoy her friends' company once more.
Wait.
What?
I looked from the floor to Dashie's. She backed away from Twilight.
Before I go, I want to get something.
Before any pony or myself could protest, she flew up to her room.
Big ride.
She was quick and returned with a shoebox in front of her hooves. I wasn't sure if she would be allowed to take anything back with her, and half expected the princess to protest. But she remained quiet, allowing Dashie to quickly write down something on a piece of paper and set it on the coffee table. She looked back to me, still crying but with a smile on her face. I knew she had realized this was how it must end, and knew that I knew that as well. The box, from my guessing, was probably her most cherished items that she kept for if she had to leave. Though it hurt me thinking about it, I hope she had a picture of us. Then again, I also hope not. I didn't want her to be forced to remember my world anyway, and that hurt me just as much as everything else.
I'm sorry, Rainbow Dash.
Twilight started.
I honestly wish there was another way to do this. I wish I didn't have to do this.
Me too. Me free. Me
She
full.
started.
Can she come with me?
Yes, we can all have adventure.
She was simply speaking her mind, not actually asking a question. Twilight shook her head, unable to keep eye contact with her friend as she cried before her.
Rainbow Dash.
Princess Celestia started.
He cannot join you in our world, much like how you cannot stay in his. This was all never meant to be. And the world around us was not made to house you. And yet,
Celestia looked to me, smiling, then began to look around our living room. All the photos of us together, all her knickknacks and belongings strewn around the room.
and yet, something beautiful happened here. Something I cannot explain in full. When I realized where you ended up, I expected the worst. I figured you to be ruined, tainted and tarnished from this world's cruelty. But now, I see that it's quite the opposite. That here, this man that has raised you, shows me that you were in good hooves. Or hands, as it were. Dashie sniffed once, beginning to calm down as Celestia's words sunk in. Celestia returned to looking at me, still smiling. I cannot speak for you, but from what I see in front of me, the amount of love you both share and have shared together tells me that you raised her as if she was your own. Even with the obvious differences, you still raised her unbiased as to her species or origins. You raised her as your daughter, which only makes this entire ordeal so much worse. I absorbed her words, as well as the other ponies in the room. So I must say to you, dear sir, please do not hold my student accountable for this. It was never her or any pony else's intention to cause this much hurt to either of you. If you must blame some pony, I would ask that you blame me. I am the one that helped bring them here, to take Rainbow Dash back to our home. Away from here. I couldn't look away from any of them. My heavy breathing, breaking down with sobs. My mind was just going on her own. Thinking back to all the things Dashie and I did together. I took deep breaths as I spoke. How could I blame some pony for sending Rainbow Dash here?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I sniffled and cleared my throat as I continued. I nearly choked up as I searched for words to express myself.
Please don't do another one of
These have
these.
been the best 15 years of my life. So if anything, I feel quite the opposite. I wish to thank you, Twilight, and the rest of you. Thank you for what you did, though not intentional. Thank you for all that came out of this. And finally, thank you for all of my years, my life, and my love with Dashie. I tried to smile at Twilight between the sobs, but she looked on the edge of tears herself and could only look away before she cried herself. Celestia then stood from the rug she lay on and walked over to me as I stood. No need for thanks, good sir. Instead, I wish to thank you for taking care of one of my little ponies. She would have never made it without someone much like yourself. Celestia closed her eyes and then leaned her horn towards me. I didn't move. I wasn't sure what was going on as she touched her horn to my head. I felt a sudden warmth rush through my body. She drew her horn away, still smiling, as she stepped back. Thank you. Then another pony spoke up. Thank you, sir. Twilight had finally able to speak through her tears. Thank you, Applejack said. Thank you, darling, for caring for our Rainbow Dash. Rarity spoke. Oh, thank you, Fluttershy quietly said. Thanks. Pinkie Pie shouted as she sprung up to me and hugged me.
Pinkie
I
Pie!
couldn't help
You're a
but
champion!
her
Somehow!
strings of
Some
gratitude.
way! Shape
Better yet,
or
the rose on the end of every
fall.
true her mane did smell like cotton candy. I remained silent as I nodded, then looked back to Dashie, who also wore a smile on her face. The ponies all returned to Dashie and Twilight as Twilight's horn began to glow once more. Are you ready now, Rainbow? Twilight asked, returning to Dashie and starting her magic. She simply closed her eyes and awaited the inevitable.
seemed time slowed down as Twilight's horn approached Dashie's forehead. My mind began forcing random memories of us together. I can vividly remember the splashing of the bathtub from her bath times before she could shower herself. I can still taste her many failed attempts at baking and cooking in general. I still smell the outdoors from our times at the park where she was able to spread her wings. There were so many memories that I simply had to shut off my brain so that I could keep myself focused on Dashie. A single tear ran down her left cheek as I could see her eyes moving under her eyelids. Her mind was doing the same thing mine was, forcing our fondest memories all at once. This was going to be the last time we ever saw one another. Finally, Twilight's horn touched Dashie's forehead. There was a bright light, and when I could see again, they were all gone. All the ponies had disappeared. Through my tears, I sighed in relief. It felt wrong, but it also felt right. She was now the normal Rainbow Dash that belonged in Ponyville. I stood in the living room for several more minutes, just staring blankly at the empty floor that Dashie had been standing at just moments before. Then I looked around the room and took notice of my surroundings. I noticed things were different. Pictures that once held images of me and Dashie no longer hung from the walls. Many of the random personal items of hers that were scattered around the living room were gone. I was confused, so I ran up to her bedroom to look. When I opened the door, what I saw instead of her NASCAR and airshow posters mixed with her bed and other furnishings was a simple office. A cheap desk with a computer on it, and an ugly-looking potted plant. It took me some time to digest what I was experiencing before I realized what must have happened. It made sense, but it still stung me in the chest. And to make sure nothing happened between worlds, Celestia must have removed any existence of Dashie ever being here. Being with me. 15 years old, down the drain as her existence was wiped from the planet. I felt as though all those years were for naught, wasted as I wouldn't be able to remember her. And yet, my memories still lingered of her. I could remember everything as if it were still as vivid as when it happened. And the thought, she did something with her magic when she touched me with her horn. Did she protect my memories so that I would remember her? She done the same for Dashie? I walked back downstairs into the living room while I thought. On the coffee table sat a book. I recognized it. It was my photo album. I sat down on my couch, opened it up to the first page. There was my mother and father with me shortly after I was born. I continued flipping through them, looking at my own past. There was a gap after my parents died, but to keep my mother's dream going, I had picked it back up, making false pictures of happy times and enjoying my life to stick into her book of memories. Then I opened up to a piece of paper. I picked it up and immediately recognized the handwriting, or more correct, mouth writing. I speculated that this is what she had written down before she left.
Dad, for 15 years you took care of me. For 15 years you loved me, played with me, and made sure I enjoyed my life in a world not meant to house me. I'm not a bear of many words, but even though I told you this in person, I feel like you needed a written version of it, so you'll know it was all real. I love you, Daddy. You helped shape me into the mayor I am now. I'm not sure what's gonna happen, if I will remember any of this or not, but I want you to know that you did a darn good job of raising me. Even if I was a bit stubborn at times or short with you during others. With Celestia's permission,
Why is it so sad?
with you.
Why is it so sad?
Your little daughter always. Your little Dashie forever. rainbow, Dash?
I set the note back into the page, flattening it out with my hand as I felt the dried tear marks littering the paper. I read the note over and over again until I had it memorized. Then I turned the page and was greeted with Dashie's Philly smile. So now I sit here, looking through my photo album of our time together. Her first words, her first drawing, even her first brain feather, all in this book of memories. Everything in the house is gone, but what I had put into this book still remains. I don't dare ever change that either. But I will continue to add to it, to show that those years with her helped not only shape herself, but helped shape me as well. I'm a new man from what I was 15 years ago. Changed. Given another chance by a sheer miracle of fortunate events that transpired from somewhere I can't even speculate. If I had never gone back and checked that box, if I had done something different than I had, it could have changed everything between us. I guess I'm lucky that it all worked out. I can gladly say I have achieved my parents' only wish, for me to be happy. Although I'm saddened, I'm still happy for the time I had with her. I now sit alone in this empty house, staring at my mother's rainbow picture with a smile plastered on my face. Every time I see it, I think of Dashie. I should be crying. I should feel horrible and want nothing but my daughter back. And yet, I feel relieved to know that everything is all right. She didn't run away or leave on bad terms. She's gone, home to where she belongs, and she's safe. I look back down to my photo album, turning to the page of our most recent photo. The pages are blank. I still have a lot of life ahead of me. I plan to make the best of it. For myself. For my little Dashie. The end.
This is so sad. Why is it so sad? Why is it so sad? Look at me. I know. I don't even care anymore. Well, I got nothing for that. But how do I end this? I don't know! How do you end a such a sad tale? I have no idea. Does that awkward? Awkward. How you end it?